Rockstar Games isn't just making a sequel of GTA, they are weaponizing neural networks to overwrite your perception of the physical world. Because I think GTA 6 will dissolve the barrier between pixels and reality. Your actual life will start to feel like a low resolution imitation. Crazy, right? Now, how ready are you for reality to become secondary? You know that every generation of games promises realism, and yet almost every time it falls short. And we know why. There's always something off. That plastic feel on a character's face, the way light bounces just slightly wrong off a surface, the edges of a leaf that look carved rather than grown. Our brains are extraordinarily good at catching these details. Humans have spent hundreds of thousands of years reading the physical world, interpreting light, texture, death, and biological life. We don't even do it consciously anymore. It's automatic, instinctive and instant. And for decades that instinct has kept games firmly in their lane. Of course we enjoy gaming, we get immersed, we have fun, but somewhere deep in our cognition a signal tells us that this is not real, it's still a game. GTA 6 is the first time that signal might go silent, because Rockstar didn't just make a quick graphic upgrade, and the technology they use targets the exact mechanism your brain uses to detect what is fake. Now stick around because I'm going to show you the exact technology Rockstar is using and explain step by step why your brain is completely unequipped to handle it. But first, we need to understand what the Rage engine actually is, because it's unlike anything you've ever seen in gaming before. Rage, short for the Rockstar Advanced Game Engine, it's not new. It has powered every major Rockstar title since the mid-2000s. Each iteration has pushed hardware further. At its core, it's a process called photogrammetry, and Rockstar is running it at a scale that has never been attempted in commercial game development. Here's how it works. Traditional game environments are built by artists, human beings who model geometry, paint textures, and simulate materials. They're talented, but they're guessing. They're approximating what reality looks like based on references and intuition. Photogrammetry throws that process away entirely. Instead of drawing the world, you scan it. You take hundreds, sometimes thousands of high-resolution photographs of a real object from every conceivable angle. Rocks, concrete, tree bark, skin, a piece of crumpled tin foil on a gas station floor, you name it. Then you feed those pictures into software that reconstructs the object in 3 dimensions. Every pore, every scratch, every microscopic imperfection as a digital asset. The result is not art anymore, it's a clone. Rockstar's teams have reportedly been scanning real-world environments across Florida for years. Buildings, roads, concrete of a specific sidewalk, and guess what? They're doing this at a 12K resolution. For reference, a standard 4K display renders at a roughly 8 million pixels. 12K photogrammetry captures data at approximately 70 million data points per scan. That's detail at a granular level. It exceeds what the human eye can resolve at normal viewing distances. Which means for the first time ever, the game world contains more detail than you can actually see. And that changes everything. Because here's the thing about visual tells. The reason our brain catches them isn't just because something looks wrong up close. It's because something looks too clean at a distance. Real environments have visual noise at every scale. Zoom in on any surface in the physical world and you'll find chaos. Micro variations in color, material inconsistency, layers of history embedded in texture. Game environments, no matter how beautiful, have historically been too consistent, too ordered and too resolved. At 12K photogrammetry, that problem disappears. The chaos is real, because it was copied from reality. What you're looking at right now might be a game, or it might be not. That uncertainty, that's not an accident, and it has everything to do with what Rockstar has done to human skin rendering, which, as neuroscientists will tell you, is the single hardest visual challenge the human brain faces. Of all the things the human brain is tuned to recognize, human skin is at the top of the list. This makes evolutionary sense. Detecting the health, emotional state and identity of other humans was for the most of our existence on this planet a survival skill. So our brains dedicate enormous processing resources to analyzing faces and skin, which is exactly why digital humans have always looked wrong. The term for this is uncanny valley. that deeply unsettling region where something looks almost human but not quite, which triggers a revulsion response stronger than something that looks clearly fake. The reason we fall into the uncanny valley has a specific technical cause: light interaction with biological tissue. Real human skin is more of a system than a surface. Light doesn't just bounce off your skin the way it bounces off a painted wall. It enters the skin, it scatters through the epidermis, it hits the fat cells, blood vessels, melanin deposits, it bounces around inside you, picking up color, warmth, translucency, and then it exits, changed. That reddish glow at the edge of someone's ear when held up to a light, the way a cheek becomes slightly luminous in direct sunlight, the blue-purple tint of the skin beneath someone's eyes, where the vessels sit close to the surface, are not surface effects. They are called volumetric biological phenomena. Traditional rendering faked this with flat textures and post-processing tricks. It was always wrong, and your brain could always tell. Rockstar Engine implements what is being called the most sophisticated real-time subsurface scattering system ever deployed in a game. And it doesn't approximate biological light behavior, it simulates it. And your brain, which spent hundreds of thousands of years evolving to detect fake skin, is now looking at something that isn't fake anymore. But what happens to a brain that can't tell the difference? Well, that question isn't rhetorical. There is a clinical answer, and it has a name. Stay with me because this is where things get really strange. Your brain does not experience the world raw. Every single thing you perceive, every image that enters your eyes is processed, categorized, and interpreted before you're even conscious of it. Your visual cortex is both a camera and a prediction machine. It takes incoming data, compares it to every model of reality it has ever built, and makes a best guess about what you're seeing. This is why optical illusions work. This is even why you can read misspelled words without noticing, because your brain is not only reading what's there, it's also predicting what should be there and filling in the gaps. This is how you know something is a game. When you sit down and play a video game, your brain runs a rapid categorical check. It scans for the known markers of digital artificiality. Overly consistent textures, wrong light physics, skin that doesn't scatter, geometry that's too clean, water that doesn't refract correctly. And if it finds those markers, it files the experience under simulation, and you engage with it accordingly, consciously aware it's not real. But what happens when your brain doesn't find those markers? This is where the neuroscientists use the term reality monitoring failure, a state where the brain system for distinguishing perceived reality from internally generated or artificial imagery begins to break down. Reality monitoring failure happens to all of us, like in dreams for example, or in deeply absorbing fiction, in moments of intense imagination, and so on. The brain suspends for a brief time its categorical filter and allows the artificial to register as real. The difference with GTA 6 is the permanence of the trigger. When a piece of content clears every biological threshold your brain uses to detect fakeness, when the photons arriving at your retina are processed by your visual cortex and returned no red flags, your brain doesn't choose to believe it's real. It just does, because that's what it's designed to do when reality checks pass. The result is a persistent cognitive dissonance that doesn't revolve the way it used to. You know you're playing a game, so you end up holding two contradictory beliefs simultaneously. This is a game and this is real, and neither cancels the other out. That tension is cognitive dissonance. You can't decide what your visual cortex believes, you can only sit with it. But call me a grey matter, because it's not just that the game looks real, it's what happens when you leave, because the brain adapts, and adaptation in this case cuts in both directions. There is a phenomenon that gamers and VR researchers started documenting a few years ago informally, before the neuroscience community gave it a proper attention. Players who spend extended sessions in photorealistic environments reported something strange when they returned to the physical world. And I'm not talking about confusion or hallucinations, but something else, and in some ways more unsettling. Reality looked worse, flatter, in a lower resolution if you will. The environment felt unoptimized. This phenomenon has a basis in how the brain handles adaptation. Your visual system is not calibrated to an objective standard. It's calibrated to what it regularly encounters. Spend enough time in an environment, real or artificial, and your brain begins to use that environment as its reference point for normal. And when your reference point for visual fidelity is set by 12K photogrammetry and physically accurate subsurface scattering, the real world doesn't become unreal, but a less stimulating version of what normal now means for you. When GTA 6 is your new expectation, when your visual cortex has spent hours processing imagery that passes every biological reality check, the ordinary world starts registering it as below baseline, mid, A fluorescent light in a gas station doesn't have ray-traced global illumination. The concrete outside your door doesn't have a 12K photogrammetry texture resolution. None of this makes reality feel fake, but it can make it feel a little bit off. And this is before we factor in the emotional architecture of the game world. Because GTA 6 environment isn't just visually rich, it's, and this is very important, designed. Every scene is art directed for maximum visual interest. Lighting conditions are chosen for drama and beauty. Color palettes are curated. The sunset over Vice City isn't random. It's perfect. Is the sunset a team of artists and engineers decided was the best possible sunset? The real world doesn't offer that. The real world gives you overcast skies, bad angles, and the lamp outside your window does the wrong color temperature. Your brain didn't evolve to prefer designed environments over natural ones, but it responds to stimulation. So the question isn't whether GTA 6 is impressive. Of course it is. The question is, what does it mean that the boundary has been crossed? And what comes after GTA 6? GTA 6 is a milestone, but it's also a proof of concept. In 2 hardware generations, what Rockstar is doing at the premium end of development will be the baseline, and the trajectory doesn't stop at games. The same photogrammetry pipelines that Rockstar used to clone Miami are being used in architecture, film production, military simulation, and soon consumer VR. Meta, Apple and Sony are all building headsets that will render those environments in a field of view that matches the human's eye full peripheral range. So, say bye-bye to screen edges, bezels, and external cues that you're in a device. At that point, the cognitive dissonance I've been talking about will intensify, because now the context itself, the physical frame that currently tells your brain you're in front of a display, will also disappear. What Rockstar has done with GTA 6 is establish the visual threshold, the point at which game world imagery stops failing the brain's biological reality checks. GTA 6 is, on its surface, a video game, a sequel to the best-selling entertainment product in human history. It will be played for fun, but underneath that, there is a synthetic world that passes the oldest and most rigorous test in human cognition. I'm talking about the test your brain runs automatically, without your permission. And what happens next, it's up to us. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Noroc, my friends.